Did all their point of sale, magazine, newspaper ads. I wrote copy. I did the layouts. I did the finished art, and I was successful. I was happy, but I had the bug. You know, I like to do comedy, and then it grew. I started working little dates just for fun on the weekends, and then I did all the local civic things, the governor's birthday ball, the police chief's banquet, stuff like that. And the man who owned the New York Latin Quarter was a Boston resident, E.M. Lowe from the Lowe's Theater people. And he would see me at these functions. And one day he said to me, you know, I own the Latin Quarter, and I'd like to give you a week in my Latin Quarter. And I thought about it. I said, I can always go back to doing what I was doing. I'm going to just take a shot. And I did it. I went into the Latin Quarter for a week. And I gave up my job. I just walked out, and I went to the Latin Quarter, and I got very lucky there. They held me over a second week, and a third week, and a fourth week, and I wound up staying the run of the show, which was 18 weeks. Wow. And by the time I left the Latin Quarter, I had been signed by the William Morris Agency, and I had a manager. I went back to Boston. I got some clothes. I took a little one-room studio apartment in Manhattan, and I had a career.
Wow, and it's been quite a career.
It's been fun. It's been great. I never went back.
You've been seen in Vegas, television, Johnny Carson, on and on it goes, haven't you?
Everywhere.
You do something with language that is very unique. I mean, you misuse words, and whenever my wife and I hear someone unintentionally misuse a word that sounds like the right word but is the wrong word, we always say that's a Norm Crosbyism.
It's been wonderful. I think that's the secret of sustaining in our business, is to have a hook, to have something that the audience can identify with, and they recognize you, and probably know what you do before they even know your name. You know, if you saw a comedian and you wanted to describe him to a friend, you'd say, well, he was wearing a tuxedo and he had a nice haircut and he talked about his wife and his kids, and you're talking about 6 million guys, you know. But if you said, well, he insulted everybody said, well, that's Don Rickles.
Don Rickles.
You know, you'd know immediately.
Sure.
And they say, well, the guy that screws up the words, that's Norm Crosby. And that's what makes you have a rapport with the people, and
rapport. That's good.
You know, you can condone yourself. I think that's important, to have that lateral discussion. But it worked.
It did work. How did you fall into that? Did you know someone who talked that way?
I did. I really did. I think everyone has a friend or knows somebody in the family that talks that way.
Yes.
And I started to listen to... I worked at a little club in Springfield, Massachusetts, and the guy that owned the club was a friend of mine. And he was single, and he liked all the girl dancers and the singers, whoever came up to work. And he said to me one day, you know, Springfield was like 90 miles out of Boston.
Right.
And some of the acts would stay over, and some of the acts would commute. And there was a little girl dancer on the show that was cute, and he said to me, Norm, he said, find out if she's staying over or if she communicates. And I knew he didn't mean that. And it just started my thinking. I said, wow, that would be a great way to do. And I started doing it. You know, I would say singers project from their diagrams, and President Johnson declared war on puberty. You know,
and that made sense.
Julius Caesar got stabbed in the ventricle with a rusty shiv, and he got rigor motion of his ducts, and he collapsed on the steps of the Acropolis, and they wrote down that he died from collapse. I mean, that was my thing. And,
yes, that is really.
And I just stayed with it. And then, of course, Johnny Carson, Ed Sullivan, they enlarged upon it. I would do, the first time I did the Tonight Show, Carson stood up, he said, what a thrill to see somebody do something unique and different with comedy. And Sullivan's reaction was the same way, but of course, with Sullivan, you never knew, you know. You didn't know if he liked you or he hated you. It never changed.
Same expression.
But we became good friends, you know.
Is that right?
It's been a great ride.
Who have you enjoyed working with in the business?
Everybody.
Everybody.
I met Robert. My first job that the William Morris office gave me was the Labor Day weekend up at the Concord Hotel in the Catskills.
Is that right?
And that was the big weekend, if you know. Then I met Bob 2 minutes before the show, and I introduced myself. He had just finished Camelot, big show that he came from. And I said to him, Mr. Goulet, I'm the comedian. How much time should I do? Which is the normal question. You act the star. And he said, I don't know. How much time should I do? I never did this before. And we laughed. And then his manager came back after the show, and he said, you know, I'm taking Bob on a great big tour. You know, would you be interested? And that's how it started. I stayed 3 years with Goulet from that one show.
From that one
show. And he was always very nice to me. There's an occupational hazard of being with a big star because your billing is minute and you do your show and you're off. And the focus is on the star. But they were so nice to me. They never let that happen. It was always Robert Goulet, special guest star Norm Crosby, or Robert Goulet show featuring Norm Crosby.
Right.
And I was able to grow. So by the time I finished working with Bob, I had a name, and I could go back and work those places myself. It was marvelous.
Well, I want to thank you. And we're going to come back to that. We want more stories, and we'll be right back.
In the future.
In the future.
There's more to come. Stay with us.
We're back with Dr. Lee Berk and comedian Norm Crosby. Norm, I want you to know you look great. So whatever you're doing for yourself is working. What do you think your humor does for you?
I think humor, bottom line, is a weapon. It's a way of combating illness and unhappiness. And I think it's if you can laugh at something, then it's not frightening anymore. Then it's not overpowering. I mean, if you have setbacks in your life, physically or financially or socially, and you can step back and laugh, then immediately you erase the depression, you erase the negative feeling. You say, well, okay, I lost this, or that happened to me, or I'm sick, but let's see, how can we... Your approach becomes different, and you have a much, much better attitude. And I think physically it's been proven that if you can laugh at something, then medically it's better for you.
Well, Dr. Berk, talk to us about that. What happens inside when we laugh, like Norman's talking about?
You just heard Norman say it's like a medicine for me.
Right,
and it is a medicine for him because you have neuropeptides such as endorphins that increase when you laugh. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do I have that?
Yes, you do. And you feel good with the endorphins. It's the same thing as the runner's high when you're running. So you have endorphins that increase, the serotonin increases, you decrease your stress hormones. Who wouldn't want that? It's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
So this is the
I like it.
This is the medicine. This is the Mary